Okay, mic check. Okay. Hi guys, this is Styrax. Bringing you a bit of a unconventional stream. And this is basically something I decided to do out of the blue only because I've been thinking of yesterday's stream and everybody else's input. And one of the questions I was given was from Concept, and his question was, do I ever plan on building a deck both in Master Duel or in real life? And I thought this was a good time as any. It's going to be a short stream, and it's going to be a deck profile on a budget. It's not really a budget, but at the same time it's very easily affordable as long as you have most of the pieces. So let's get started. This is the main deck. That's my extra deck. That's my suggested spare like support cards, and this is the spare trap cards that you could use potentially. Let's go with that first. Let me put these guys away for a later time. And go with the main deck first. So first off, as you can tell, the boss monster of Labyrinth. Since we are going to be running Labyrinth, you could run 3, but I can find it easier to just pull 2 since you're going to be summoning her from the graveyard and from the deck anyway through the trap card. So 2 Labyrinth boss monsters, or Lovely Labyrnth. I run 2 Ariana, only because, well, I don't have the third one, but I find it that you can just use the other support or the other servant just to bring her out immediately. So 2 Arianas. So Labyrinth, going back to Labyrinth, she special summons herself through a trap card. You can reset a trap card that's in the graveyard. Once per turn, you can reset a trap card from your graveyard back to the field. And she basically creates a protection around your trap card so that even if you activate a Labyrinth or a normal trap card, they cannot be negated. Like, your opponent cannot activate cards in response to that. So that's a really good thing. We have Ariane 3 because she summons her, or any lower level monster pretty much, but basically you summon her, discard one normal trap card, special summon Ariana. So those are the key components of your monster lineup to set up your traps. Now we have your furniture. I run 3 chandelier, 2 chandelier, sorry. I used to run 3, but I modified it because all this guy does is discard to set a trap, and then like if this card is discarded once per turn, you can just add it back to your hand, which exists. The 3 appliance monsters, Cool Clock and Torby, they all work in tandem. This one is these 2 are the more key components. This one is more like in case one of these 2 like stumble, this comes in clutch, because basically what this guy does is this one is the only one that goes back to your hand. These can special summon themselves back to from the graveyard. Cool Clock and Torby are your key setup monsters. Now, as I said, these are the ones that set up your boss monster like setup, and you'll see why once I go to the extra deck. But these are the ones that set up your back row. Cool Clock can if you discard 1 card and Cool Clock, or discard a Labyrinth card and a Cool Clock, you can activate a set normal trap card or a Labyrinth trap card, which most of them are, immediately after setting. So basically it is expedited, like skip your set a turn. So this is a skip card. Torby's effect is similar, except his effect is if you discard a Labyrinth, I believe it's a Labyrinth or a trap card. No, discard one card. So I think these two do the same. Discard one card and discard to activate a trap card that you set this turn. Torby does the discard this card and another card to set the card. So this one sets the card, this one activates the set card immediately, and this card basically resets, not reset, so like this one also does the same thing as this, except this one special summons from the graveyard, this one goes back to your hand, which allows you to use this as a recost to set a spell or trap if any of these are still in the hand. So those are your spell and trap setters. And now you have 2 archeries. I used to run 3 of this as well until I realized it's a level 7. There's not that many targets for level 7s. And all this has done for me is pretty much be the target blocker. So Archfiend has an effect where if this card is on the field, your opponent cannot target any other females except this card. This card also gets a buff effect where it gains 400 attack times the number of normal trap cards on in your graveyard. I believe the last effect is if this card is special summon, you can set 1 normal trap card from your hand or deck. No, it's only from the deck. Oh. Let me rephrase that. You can set a normal trap card that is considered a battle trap card. So that will be, I believe, Labyrinth or Raj. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 trap cards. So basically, in the case of a normal trap card for battle, basically you can set Mirror Force, pretty much, is what I will say. So anything battle related, that is a normal trap card. So boss monster rotation, spell and trap card rotation, protection, and battle countermeasure rotation. These all go in tandem. Very, very solid synergy. Now I'm going to go into some of the more common cards. I run 3 Absolute King Backjack. Basically discard this card, and you can look at the top 3 cards and reorganize them in any order you want, and then you can banish this during your opponent's turn to look at the top card and then set it. So basically what this does is simple. If this is my deck and then I look at the top 3 cards, so let me just do this. 1, 2, 3, and since these are all normal traps, since these are at the top, I'll just put down at the top. And you end turn. During your opponent's turn, you can banish this, and then you can draw or look at the top card of your deck. If it's a normal trap card, you can set it. So basically, it does the same thing what every other Labyrinth monsters does, which is set a trap card. This one basically is an extender where you can add another trap card and set it straight from the deck. That being said, you run 3 because there's a lot of cards that says discard. So if you have Torby or Cool Clock, basically what you can do is, let's do a combination here. If you have Torby or Cool Clock, what you can do is activate Torby, discard this and this, allowing Torby to set a trap card. So let's say I set a normal trap card, which is this. And main phase 1, special summon Torby because he has an effect to special summon himself from the graveyard. This is still in the graveyard. And then activate King Blackjack, remove it from the graveyard. Oh yeah, he's in the graveyard, so you look at the top cards and then reshuffle them. Put a normal trap card to the top, and then during your opponent's turn, end turn, vanish, look at the top card, effect, set it. So now you have 2 set rows already from the beginning, pretty much. And this sleeve is not the right sleeve, I think. Yeah, let's change that. One moment. Hey, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow, Untamed Beast Gamer 24. So let's see. This is not. I am not sure why this one is a different sleeve to the other one. I'll work on that later. That will be my miss. I thought I picked the same sleeve. Anyway, moving on. So those are the monster lineup. Torby, Blue Clock, Blackjack, and your Labyrinth. So now we're going to go to the traps. Let me just reorganize these so that these are all the same, because I moved them around a bit, so one of them is not like the other. There we go. So remember, Labyrinth runs traps. You don't want to use as many spells unless it's mandatory. I don't have any of the like expensive cards like Pot of Extravagance or any of the expensive. So I'm running on a budget, so once you have a box of Tactical Masters, you will get most of these. Maybe one of her, so you might have to buy or trade. But let's go down the traps first and then the spells. First we have Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch. I run 3 of those. This is basically an insta-pop. So what you want to do is have the boss monster out on the field already, or any of the fiend monsters, really doesn't matter. It just requires a fiend monster to be on the field, and then activate this and it will basically say destroy 1 card. And if you have Labyrinth, the boss monster, on the field, it basically says this card cannot be negated because of her passive skill. So it's a 100% guaranteed destruction. Remember, this is triggering, so any effect that says to negate will not go through. So that's Ghastly Glitch. Oh, and the side effect of Ghastly Glitch is that once you destroy one, you can send 1 fiend type monster from the deck to the graveyard, I believe. Yeah, from deck to the graveyard. This also sets up Absolute King Blackjack. So effect, activate, destroy, send Blackjack, activate Blackjack's effect, set a trap, or reorganize your top 3 cards. If it's a trap card, set it to top. End phase, banish, set another trap card back on the field. So it is a very, very useful card. Now, this is not considered a Labyrinth card because it has no Labyrinth on the name. So you cannot use this card for any Labyrinth purposes because there's one spell card in there. I believe I misplayed in the locals because I didn't know any better, so I had to come back and look up the rules for it. This doesn't, even though this has the Labyrinth monsters, it's not Labyrinth card. So, but other than that, it is a generic fiend support, if you want to call it. So dark fiend support, or just a fiend support in general, is a very good card. So there's that one. And then you have Fair Welcome to Labyrinth. Fair Welcome to Labyrinth basically says so this is one of the battle associated cards. This goes in tandem with Archfiend. Basically, if you special summon Archfiend by any means, you can set this card directly, because this is considered a battle trap. Let's see. If I remember correctly, this is supposed to say... Okay, so if a monster initiates battle, target that monster, negate the attack, so it's a attack blocker, and if you destroy that target, and then the biggest and then part is you can set a normal non-labyrinth trap. Remember that. You can set any non-labyrinth trap card in place of this. So, and since if you most of the time you'll have labyrinth on the field unless somebody tries to remove it, so you want to have these two paired up, since you can only target this one once he's on the field or she's on the field. Basically, negate attack, destroy the attacking monster, and then set any regular trap card as a countermeasure. If you have Cool Clock in your hand, by the time that's happening, you can basically discard this card and any other card in your hand to just literally, let's say I activate the battle, somebody attacked me, activate this, and then let's say I set a compulsory set because of this card's effect. If you have Cool Clock, unless I had another barrage in my hand, I can discard Cool Clock and barrage, send it to the graveyard, and activate compulsory immediately and bounce, giving you pretty much a board clear if the monster or any attacking monster is still active. So let's just say somebody's attacking me, activate this, set compulsory, set Cool Clock, that, and bounce. So it is a very, very good countermeasure for combat, since Labyrinth doesn't want to do most of the damage until you're 100% certain you have a field advantage to the... This is a heavy control deck and is very fun. It's like you're playing Trap Tricks, but it is much better because now you have a boss monster that literally has an immunity to trap cards, and there are certain cards I would suggest that if you had Trap Tricks would come like really useful. So let me put Cool Clock at back in his place to be organized, and Blackjack is at the back, so okay. Next card, Labyrinth Barrage. This is a cheeky card. So let's have Labyrinth Boss Monster again. This card, basically, I mean, the text is very long, but if you want to know what it does, so let's say you activate Archfiend's Glitch, or you activate Compulsory. Actually, let's try this. Let's say I have Dimensional Barrier, Lost Wind, and Compulsory, right? So I have these guys set because the deck really likes to set cards anyway. So these cards are set, and this is set as well. Barrage is set. And then I activate Lost Wind to negate a monster special effect or special summon monster's effect. And then let's say it's Baron. Let's say it's Xavier the Baron, okay? The most hard to go by monster because of the double effect. Baron tries to negate it, it can't because of Silver Castle. Baron tries to destroy Silver Castle, and then you activate Barrage. Barrage basically does is if you activate a normal trap card this turn, you can activate this card, and this card becomes Lost Wind. So now you have the chain link is if this is Chevalier, let's say this is Chevalier, you activate Lost Wind to negate Chevalier. Chevalier tries to negate it, can't because of Silver. It just and then on response, it tries to do the pop to destroy this card, and then you activate this card. This card is now Lost Wind, so now this card will negate Chevalier, and Lost Wind I believe says and the original attack is halved. So now Chevalier's attack I believe is 3000, now it's at 1500 and effects is negated. So now during your turn, because it's your turn, you can literally just smack Chevalier out of the way with Labyrinth. That is very good. This basically acts like Trap Trick, but better, because Trap Trick you can only activate one trap card, and it's supposed to set one card. This card basically copies any trap card. Same, and remember, it's a normal non-labyrinth card. So any of these cards apply to that. Glitch, Lost Wind, Dimensional Barrier, or Compulsory. Any of these work with Barrage. Putting Ghastly Glitch back. Barrages. There we go. So now you already know what kind of traps we have here, so I'll have them on the field. Now we go to the bread and butter of this deck. This card is basically your most important trap card. Welcome Labyrinth. All it does, in my opinion, is special summon a Labyrinth monster or one Labyrinth monster from your deck, and you're now locked into Fiend monsters only. And let's say you remove this card by a card effect. Let's say you discard it, then you can reset Welcome Labyrinth from the graveyard. That goes along with the appliances. All appliances say discard one to activate the effect. So the best option to this will be these. So a combo to get this, unless you have it in the hand, that's also good, is this. And let's say this is in the deck because it's not summoned yet and you just started. So if you have one card, that's fine. If not, your starting combination should be any one of these cards or any of this spell trap, which is normal, but the biggest combination you could do is Torby, send any of these cards to set Welcome Labyrinth, and if you have Cool Clock in your hand, you can send Welcome Labyrinth and that to activate Welcome Labyrinth, the special summon White Castle or Lovely Labyrnth. Now because this labyrinth activated or was discarded and this one is activated, what you can do is reset this one by its own effect and reset it, which allows you to summon a different fiend monster or labyrinth monster in general, and you can basically next turn summon Archfiend. Hey Hazard, sorry for the late response. Let me see what you said. Hey, Branded Evoked. That is sweet. I actually need to open up my I have the Alba structure boxes. I have not opened any of them yet, so I might open them soon. That also is a thing. Anyway, I'm so focused on combo analyzing. I forgot to look at the chat. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. That's Welcome Labyrinth. Let's organize this a little bit. It's a bit neat and tidy, and then call out Lovely Castle again. Now I'm going into the other side traps. So the optional traps I have here is optional. So you don't have, if you don't have them, it's okay. But I have Dark Sacrifice. Dark Sacrifice is basically your solemn judgment or solemn, yeah, it's a negate effect for destruction. So what it says is, if your opponent activates a card or effect that will destroy a card (S), so single or multiple, on the field, negate the effect and then send a level 3 or lower fiend lower dark monster to the deck to the graveyard. If you have silver on the field, you can instant negate anything. So let's say it's Baron again, and Baron's trying to pop this, instant negate Baron. Baron is trying to negate that, it cannot negate. And then you send a level 3 or lower fiend monster, so you can pretty much send Blackjack again and set up a different trap card in response. And then after that, and then Baron's still active. So on that part, this effect is negated and it can still attack over Fiend. But if you have Coup Clock, you can pretty much say, let's say you do Backjack and set compulsory, and you have Coup Clock in your hand, discard a card, activate compulsory, compulse Baron back away, and reset the field. So that's the card I teched in as my main thing, Dark Sacrifice. Other cards you can run are as follows: Dimensional Prison or Dimensional Barrier, Lost Wind for negate effect, compulsory to return, and that's about it for traps. Alright, we'll move on to our small batch of spell cards. There aren't that many spell cards to run because it's just the Labyrinth card. Labyrinth Field Spell. When you activate this first time, it doesn't do anything because it heavily relies on you activating a trap card. But if you activate a normal trap card, it basically says destroy one card and then special summon a Labyrinth monster from your graveyard. If she's in the graveyard, you can instant special summon. So basically she is a boss monster that also floats around. I mean, she owns the castle, so it's her right to just roam around her own labyrinth, you know. So she goes to the graveyard by cost, You activate this, activate a normal trap card. Effect of this destroys a card on the field, and then she comes around to see what the hell's going on. So that's that. And then we have the spell card, Labyrinth Setup. This is basically, in my opinion, the most gimmicky spell card I ever seen in a trap deck. You target 2. Now, remind you, 2 specific cards, 2 Labyrinth trap cards. It cannot be any normal trap, and it cannot be. It doesn't do anything else for you besides Labyrinth traps. So, let's say you have Labyrinth, it says Archfiend, and let's say Barrage. Your only target from the list of graveyard would be Barrage and Welcome, because the rest is a non-Labyrinth card. So you return these back to the deck, and then if these were properly sent back to the deck, then if you have any of the non-traps in your deck still not on the field, you can automatically set them. So if this is part of my deck right now, and I return this to the deck, I can set Ghastly Glitch and Dimension Prison straight from the deck because of that spell card. But it has to be a non-Labyrinth trap for a Labyrinth trap, if you get what I mean. They are a really good way to get into using the brand. Yeah, I mean, the Alba structure deck is basically, I mean, they're part of the branded story arc. Branded, Dogmatica, Albaz. It's a whole series. It's the same with the dual terminal cards. Like, the reason why I ran Shadal is because I find out that they're part of the dual terminal lore. Actually, way before dual terminal, because if you think about it, is Area the Water Charmer bloodline that is part of the Shadal, and well, Shadal pretty much took everybody, every of the elementalist bloodline and took it for themselves. Nature Beast became Shadow Beast. Shadow Dragon is the Yangzing Dragon. Winda is from the Ritual Beast or Gusto series. Apocolone is from the Gishki, Evil Gishki, and now Shadow Apocolone, which is from the Ice Bear bloodline and Water Charmer bloodline. And then Shadow Falco is from the Gusto, etc., etc. So it was just fun looking into those. Okay, so the trap card. So the main deck is now finished. So that pretty much sums up the Labyrinth's core set. Now we will go into our extra deck. Now the extra deck is generic. These, if you buy a single box of Duel Devestator, which is the special box that they released last year, you get most of these from that. So let's go to our extra deck monsters now. And boohoo, yes, I know. There's one card that a lot of people make fun of, and that's called Saryuja Skulldread. But let's go into the extra deck now. So most of these are from the Duel Devastator, except for some. So Link Kuribo, Absolute King Backjack is the only target for it, but in case of an emergency, you can link summon this with Absolute King Backjack. IP Masquerena is a good way to extend into other Link monsters because it's basically extension. Borrelord Dragon, not Borrelord Savage Dragon, just a Borrelord regular dragon. We can already guess why. Because this card, yeah, you get this card as well, I believe, in the Duel Devastator pack. Neither player can target cards with monster effects and make your opponent's monsters lose 500. And you can take control of the monster during the battle step if this card points to it. So if there's another card like Masquerena right here, like this, during battle step I can take control of Masquerena. So that's a good way to disrupt combat. Witch's Apprentice, generic dark attribute booster. All monsters in the labyrinth are dark monsters anyway. Topologic Bomber Dragon, only because it has a pretty good effect of if another monster special summons to a link zone, destroy all monsters that are in the main zone. So summon and then instantly activate another summon. Let's say I had Ariane, this, and Absolute King Backjack on the field, because there is a potential for swarming too if your opponent has their board cleared. Link these two for Topologic. Link this for Link Karibo. Then all monsters from your opponent's side that are on the main part gets wiped if they decide to summon. So that's a good board wiper in the combo sense. Beat Cop of the Underworld, basically Tour Guide of the Underworld except a cop mode, so it's a very good extender. Enough said about her. Saryuja Skuldred. So 2+, any number up to 4, and if you use 4, you can pretty much draw and do all the effects, including, let's see, +2 if a monster is normal summon special summon at the zone disappoint cards, so it gains 300, so it's an attack booster. +3, once per turn you mages, you can special summon a monster from your hand, so it's a free special summon of any monster. And +4, when this card is link summoned, you can draw 4 cards and place 3 cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck of any order. So you draw 3, pick 1, and reset. If you have Absolute King Backjack, you can pretty much set your spell or trap cards, or set 3 trap cards, draw the 3 cards, and then set 1, and then put the other ones in the back. You just got a free set for your Labyrinth. It is a very, very helpful card. Now I have one card coming in that I had to buy singles from TCG Player, and the one card that most people have not used, I believe, because it's part of the Nightmare package, but it's Nightmare Griffin. Griffin literally says if this is link summoned, discard 1 card from your hand, and then pick a trap card that is in your graveyard, and then put it back on the field, set it. I'm just like, that is White Castle's ability. You have a link monster that does the same thing as this. So if Labyrinth disappears and you special summon Torby, Kuklok, and Kuklok to the revival zone because they have a revive ability, then you can summon Nightmare Griffin and then reset a trap card. And if you have the field spell on the field, then you instantly summon Labyrinth back. It is amazing. It is it's the combo I have never thought I would think on much, because a lot of people don't use Nightmare Griffin often. They usually use Nightmare Phoenix, Unicorn, and I think Nightmare Mermaid, but I think Nightmare Mermaid is banned. So that. Now we're going to the Exceed cards. Tornado Dragon for pop. Nothing much. It's like a backup, back row removal. Castells, because you know, discard, send 2 cards and remove 1 monster on the field. Is a bouncer. It's just a situation if you don't have like compulsory set. Honor Arc and Hope Harbinger. Take control, take control. Spell card, take control. So that's the extra deck with more Link monsters than Exceed. And there's no tuners. I have not tested any tuners in here. I might use one if I feel like it, but it's very slow. It's what was it? This is like a Securitem Fiend. It's the one that Trudge uses. Basically, if the card gets destroyed, special summon a Fiend monster. Literally, it just says special summon a Fiend monster from your deck. So basically, it's the same thing as Labyrinth, but it has to be destroyed in battle, so they have to attack into it first. So it's slightly slow. So here's the main deck. Here's the extra deck. Now I have few cards here that are tech options. Lord of the Heavenly Prison, so that they cannot do anything about your back row. Loris, Lady of Lament, is one of the Lament cards. Basically, this card basically says sacrifice this card when it's normal summon or special summoned to add a trap card that is in your graveyard back to your hand. So basically, refresh on your hand for a trap card. Sangan, typical. Now, this is old, but Gores. Let's just say this. As combo and crazy as Labyrinth is, not all deck is immune to a board wipe. It could be board wiped one way or another. If you go if you fumble a mistake and you don't have any trap cards, or they try to activate Harpy's Feathers and they wipe the entire back row, and they summon, I don't know, Zeus, Avrimax, something that is going to be higher than Labyrinth, and they take down Labyrinth, and they try to damage you, then you are wide open. As much as Gores is the old card that most people wouldn't use, right next to Tragodia, this is a Fiend. This is a free special summon if you're about to take damage. I mean, you're still going to take damage, but then you can summon the token on your side that has the same damage again. So if Avrimax attacks and you take 3000, special summon Gores, and you now have a token that is 3000 to go over Avrimax or crash into in case of anything. So that's an option. I'm not saying it must be done, but as a backup contingency for, and the thing is, some of the cards here require you to have a Fiend monster on the field. These are Fiends. If anything, you can get a draw power or get a card back with any of the cards that require Fiend monster. Set it and let these guys be the brunt of the damage, and have the trap reset your whole row the board again. But that's an option. Now here's some of the other cards that I have as a backup in case I feel like using it. Interdimensional Transporter. Some of the Labyrinth trap cards say, oh no, it's not Labyrinth. The Servants, Ariane and Ariana, they have an effect where if a normal trap removes a Labyrinth monster, draw a card or do something else. Interdimensional Matter Transporter does that. Now, Trap Trick. They give you Trap Trick as part of the set in the box. If you think on that, is a normal trap that says banish one trap card from your deck and set the same trap card. You can only activate one trap card that turn, except there is one card that is going to make things much amusing. Labyrinth Barrage. Labyrinth Barrage copies a normal trap card. So that means if you activate Trap Trick and activate Labyrinth Barrage in response to Trap Trick as a chain 2, you can send, I don't know, compulsory evacuation device, banish it, and set another compulsory. And then Labyrinth Barrage is now Trap Trick. Now you can remove Lost Wind and set a Lost Wind. You can only activate one other trap card now, so it is Lost Wind or compulsory. But that means now you have 2 cards set instead of 1, thanks to Trap Trick and Barrage activating at the same time. So that is an option. There is a very, very interesting concept I thought not possible, but it is a very old card from the Joey structure deck long time ago, and the trap card is called Just Dessert. Just Dessert says in the following: when you activate that trap card, deal 500 times the damage, 500 times the amount of monsters your opponent controls. Most modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Uses a lot of special summon monsters to have a mega board. That is at least 6 monsters, that is including this Link monster. That's 5 times 6, that's 3000 damage. Now, what if I said, hey, I activate Just Dessert with Silver Castle on the field? You cannot negate the damage because I'm not destroying anything, I'm just dealing damage to you, right? Just Dessert says deal 500 times the number of monsters you have on the field. What if I then decide to say Labyrinth Barrage? Now this card becomes Just Desserts. So the first Just Desserts deals 3000. Labyrinth Barrage then becomes Just Dessert and deals another 3000. That's 6000 damage instantly from just triggering Just Dessert. That is already almost game over. Now, granted, the board is still a negate board. They cannot negate a trap card because of Labyrinth, but that doesn't mean you're out of the woods yet, because now you have to go over the board, which you probably have a setup now by then, but that's an option. So this deck literally says, as long as you have a way to manipulate trap cards, I will do everything else for you. Let's go back. So there's that. Just Dessert, compulsory, interdimensional, etc. Trap Trick. Another fun card is Trap Pool Nightmare, which basically negates special summons. Network Trap Hole. If a monster would be special from the deck, the main deck, so you know, anything that special summons monster from the main deck, banish it face down. Bottomless Trap Hole is an option, as always. Normal Trap Hole card, normal trap. If a monster is special summon, banish it. Fun. This is from the Duel Devestator box. This is called Different Dimension Grounds. It's a normal trap. Once you activate it, it says the following: this turn, any card that is sent to the graveyard is banished instead. This, in my opinion, is Labyrinth's way of playing Runic. Because Runic wants to banish cards from the deck. If you have cards on the field you want white, and you don't want any of them in the graveyard to respawn, this card will banish things. You could run Dimensional Prison for combat purposes, but this card declares that all cards will be banished this turn if you destroy it. White Castle pops if you activate a normal trap card. Gaslit Glitch pops a card. You destroy cards with any other card on the thing. Like, I don't know, Mirror Force. Let's say you activate Mirror Force in a battle. Every monster card that they try to attack will be banished instead. So that's a very good tech card if you feel like it. And the last, Mirror Force. Haha. Now the other card I have here is a very gimmicky situational one. I don't like to use it, but it did disrupt the plays when I was on locals yesterday when I was test running this deck on the local. The virus cards. Enough said, right? All the cards you're running are dark types. Labyrinth herself is a 29 very well-rounded monster, but then let's say you have nothing else to lose because White Castle, the silver White Castle field spell is on the field, you have trap cards, haha, right? You activate this, sacrifice Labyrinth. For the rest of the turn, you see your opponent's card, and any monster card on their hand must be sent to the graveyard, and we take 5 cards because remember it's 500 times the amount. This is 29, so 5, 25. You remove 5 monster cards from the deck to the graveyard, and until the third turn of this activation, send all cards that are monster cards that are less than or equal to 25 to the graveyard. And then because this triggered to sacrifice this, you activate this. The castle effect says if you activate a normal trap card, special summon a Labyrinth monster from the graveyard, she comes back immediately. That's insane. It's gimmicky as heck, but can you imagine running the deck Destruction Virus or any of the virus cards in this deck and not have it to worry it getting negated because White Castle is a thing? This deck, I am having too much fun. Because not only some of the cards I have that are old school work because they're normal traps, Labyrinth just says do whatever you want. Because if anything, you're doing everybody a favor. Everybody as in this. So, a quick recap to Labyrinth. There is one other card that's coming out later. Her I think she is Lady of the Labyrinth. I think it's her using twin blades instead of her spear that she's carrying right now. But this deck, this entire deck, is, by biggest summary, one card split into multiple categories. And what I mean by that is this. Let me clarify once I organize my cards again. Backjack, clock, Ariane, okay. Torby, clock again. Here's the Torbies. Oh, there she is. There's the Ariana. Jack. So now that everybody kind of knows what Labyrinth can do, imagine the fact that you can use whatever trap card without any drawback because Labyrinth itself wants you to do so. So let me clarify some things that will pretty much say anything, really. Labyrinth, special summon, doesn't matter, right? Because you're going to summon or have her on the field. And even if you don't have her on the field, she summons herself with the card. Destroy. You can pop any card. It doesn't say monster, it says destroy one card, back row or monster. Negate. You can negate any card on the field. Prison. Negate the summon of any special monsters. Double trap card trigger, because it copies a trap card that's already activated once. Bounce. You can bounce cards. Negate cards that are already on the field. Negate destruction, negate monster effect, negate the summon, and return. Copy effect of any of these below here. Trap trick. Set card. Effect of that. Double set card. Dimension DDG, different dimension ground. Banish. Banish. Negate destroy. Send cards to the graveyard because it's it's a virus card. And last but not least, once I get a copy of that card, it'll be nice, but just dessert. Deal damage. Literally think of any normal trap that can help you swing. She is literally swinging her freaking polearm, and you are going to pretty much be dealing traps as if they're spell cards. And add insult to injury, really. If she swings and you have Coup Clock, you can instantly cast a set trap. This guy literally, if it's not any of the other monsters on the deck, this guy is literally her like butler. He literally says discard any card and I can let any of these activate the turn you set. Isn't that just amazing? Can you imagine all these other normal traps? Remember, it has to be a normal trap. You cannot do counter trap, cannot be continuous trap, and it cannot be continuous monster trap. But any normal trap you see here can be it can be pretty much used to any liking. whether it be hidden barrel or like just dessert, deal damage. They cannot do anything because Labyrinth is passive, says you cannot negate trap cards, normal trap cards that are activated. Bounds, compulsory, you cannot negate it. Not when the lady of the owner of the Labyrinth said so. Pop, summon, negate, destruction, negate, special summon, negate the effect of a special summon. Where is my lost wind? I had it here somewhere. Oh, negate an effect on the field that is special summoned. And then you have all the other support cards that are, link and exceed cards. Saryuja, Beat Cop of the Underworld Top Logic, Link Karibo, Borload, IP Masquerina, Hope Harbinger, because at level 8, if you have two Lovely Labyrinths, you can just go to Hope Harbinger. Discard to activate Hope Harbinger's effect, and then activate White Castle to resummon Labyrinth by activating any of these effects. Castell, 20. It is a very solid deck. And I'm so happy that I have old cards like the Deck Devastation virus cards that you see right there. I still might look at the other virus cards, but it is very, very strong. A lot of people are saying Labyrinth is like a rogue deck because everybody's hyping up Runix. But when I saw Labyrinth and the possibility of her being on the field and then saying, I allow you to use any trap to your liking, my brain immediately said, just dessert. Deal 3,000 damage times barrage, so 6,000 damage. Deck Devastation virus series. Sacrifice a monster. Have your opponent not be allowed to have more monsters in their hand or field. Normal traps like Dark Sacrifice, which I used in Darkest Diablos long time ago, literally says if a monster will be destroyed, negate it and destroy it. It's like Solemn Judgment, but in normal trap. She just turned Dark Sacrifice into Solemn Judgment because she's on the field. So, that literally wraps everything up. This entirety of the deck, this entire creation of a deck pretty speaks one thing. I am a boss you should not mess with. But if you dare wish to challenge Labyrinth, then I hope you're ready for lots, and pun intended, but lots of booby traps. Because literally the entire deck is a booby trap deck. It is literally trap tricks, but better. Like, if Trap Trick had their update with new Link supports, this deck literally says, I am Trap Trick 3.0. Whether I have Link supports or not, all traps are equal in my domain, and therefore all normal traps, can be activated without anyone touching it. I think on Saturday, on my off day, I'm going to do a bit of a runic analysis thing. I have playsets of runics as well, but there is something I have thought of that I don't know if it's going to work. But I found out I have an old angel card that could help Runics out, if you run fairies, of course. The card in question is Splendid Venus. It's an 8-star fairy light monster that says if this card is on the field, activation of your spell and trap cards cannot be negated. Now, it's an 8-star, so you might be thinking, wait a moment, that's too high of a cost to summon. How would you summon that? You could run Valhalla and special summon the first turn, but that's too slow. Somebody could negate Valhalla. So I thought, why not run Dark Lords? You have Dark Lord Zerato, Dark Lord Yugioh, Dark Lord Superbia, and the 2 Dark Lord support cards, Dark Lord Rebellion and Dark Lord Rising. And then you add Trade-in. 3 copies of Trade-in, 3 copies of Superbia, Zeratos, and Yugioh. Discard to draw 2 with Trade-in. Hopefully you discard Superbia or Zerato. Then you draw for Yugioh, or add Yugioh to your hand with the Dark Lord Banishment or Rebellion. Discard Yugioh and a Dark Lord card to the graveyard to draw 2. Activate Dark Lord Rebellion. Is it Rebellion or Banishment? I forgot which one. It's the one that revives. You revive Superbia and special summon Venus because you discard it as a cost for trade-in because it's an 8-star. Now Venus is on the field as a 28-24 attacker. Your spell cards cannot be negated because of Splendid Venus, and then you just go runic spell, trap spell, not even traps, like just runic spell 1, runic spell 2, runic spell 3, so on and so forth, and just start milling. And then if not, special summon the monster, just search for a runic card and activate another runic card because now the boss monster is on the field and Splendid Venus is on the field. If anything, hold on, give me one moment, let me go look up my cards. Oh yeah. I have it here somewhere in the background. Where would she be sitting in my back of my card lot? Cannot be in. I don't think it's in my. I do not believe she is in here, so I have to dig into my dark deck. Okay, then. Kaiba cord bag is here in one of these boxes is Dark Lords. Aha. In here I should have. Okay, so I need to look for my Splendid Venus. I do not know where she is, but if you look up Splendid Venus Yugioh, you will understand what I mean. So Labyrinth says in tandem you cannot touch cards that are trap cards, right? Now let me just go off here and bring up my browser. Blended Venus. So image, and then let me edit here, and then add image here. And from here, let me go here. Okay, hold on a second, guys. Let me modify. Let me add the image on here. Give me one moment. Select, increase, and let me add it to the bottom here so you can see it, and then save. So if you guys are watching the stream right now, oh hello, stream's almost done. I finished explaining most of the Labyrinth stuff, but imagine Labyrinth's effect, and then now you look at Venus right there. If you look at that, it literally says all non-fairy monsters lose 500 attack. The activation of effects of spell/trap cards that activate on your side of the field cannot be negated. So with that said, imagine this. It's just an analysis on my side. It's not, I'm not saying that this is going to be meta. Imagine this is Venus, and then you run the Dark Lord engine. So you run Zerato, trade in Superbia, Eggshell, and with that you add Banishment and Contact. Remember, Venus is an 8-star and is a light fairy. You activate trade-in. Grab trade-in because I run it here. And like I said, most of the decks I have in Duel, Master Duel is a deck I actually have in real life. So I know some Yu-Gi-Oh! So you activate trade-in, discard the other side, discard Venus, draw 2. If you have any cards in the hand that is also Yugioh, that and that or this, plus a runic card, I'm saying runic, you can activate Yugioh, discard Superbia, draw 2. You drew into Splendid Venus, activate Venus, trade in, draw 2. You draw runics and let's say contact or banishment, doesn't matter which one. Activate banishment to add contact, activate contact. Now you have Venus, Superbia, Yugioh, or even Zerato. Let's just say that. Activate contact, special summon Superbia, special summon Venus. Venus now says your activation of spell traps cannot be negated. Barrage your opponent with runic cards. Just, they cannot do anything with your runic card. They cannot negate your runic card at all. Now, if they use Imperial Iron Wall and say cards cannot be banished, oh, that's fine, you know, that's a hard counter. Or they use the one hard counter, Invader of Darkness, which is a fiend monster that says your opponent cannot activate spell cards that banish or whatever. That if people are using that as a only means to counter, you know, your card. But for those who are not using any hard counters for the runics, I'm thinking you could literally run runics with Dark Lords. Not the Dark Lords themselves, But to have an immunity monster like Splendid Venus is a 28-24, is not weak, is an 8-star, so is a trade-in target, is a fairy, so super big and special summon it instantly. And then my favorite combo, as Concept and the others have seen before, is to link climb to rank 77. 7 sins. That is a 4,000 attacker with take any special summon monsters or beat them with 4,000. And I think I'm going to try building that as well, since I have all the playset of Runic except Runic Tip and Fountain. But that really doesn't matter. At this point, the Dark Lords doesn't require the Fountain because you're drawing everything with draw power of trade-in Dark Lords. And if you cannot search for Runic, that doesn't matter because you can search the Dark Lord pieces instead to draw more cards and have a immunity against anybody who's trying to negate your spell cards. But I will do a more in-depth analysis of the runics on Saturday. For now, what do I think of Labyrinth? I feel this, if done correctly, could probably win Worlds. Why do I say that? It's not that it is the strongest deck in the entire world, no. That right now is still going towards Sour Soul, Tearlament, and Sprites. I see potential. This card is basically what Traptrix has been wanting to be for a very long time. And Traptrix is no pushover either. But ramp Traptrix up, dial it to like 500% potency. This can make it impossible for unless you have a hard counter to not let Labyrinth herself show up. She herself can literally just swing for game, both in the terms of tactical masters, haha, and or just in the severity of punishment. She doesn't relent. That trap barrages that she has in her arsenal and the arsenal we give her basically says one and one thing only. If you want to face me, you're not facing in an even playing field. You're entering a labyrinth, a dungeon, which is what the deck is based off of. You're entering my domain. So you either are prepared to face me, or you are not going to win. That's basically how this deck was built, in my opinion. But thank you everybody who dropped by. Thank you Ultimate Beast Gamer 24 for the follow. And see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to start the Nuzlocke challenge for Pokemon, just because I've been talking about it and I decided since Kirby is done and over, I might as well start my official Nuzlocke. I think I have Pearl, so I'm going to do a Nuzlocke challenge of Pearl tomorrow. And on Saturday, I am going to do the Runic Dark Lord mashup deck. So expect that on Saturday. And on Sunday, well, if anything, I need to continue with my Digimon Survive playthrough. But that was my deck profile and my analysis for Lovely Labyrnth. And I say that was quite lovely, in my opinion. Alright guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I know it was like a quick live stream, but any more extension of time will be too much for anybody. So I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.